This is an introduction to the Impact Engine system, specifically for Glacier Media. So to access the Impact Engine system, you just go to impactengine.com, and in the upper right-hand corner, you're going to enter what we call the master user account for Glacier. You'll have those credentials provided to you. And when you click on sign in, this will take you to Glacier Media Group admin or master account. And what you're going to see here is a list of all the different groups underneath the master account. For instance, agriculture, business information, newspaper, etc. And you can click to expand any one of these groups. Underneath these groups, there's going to be individual groupings. Again, underneath the newspaper group, you have BC Papers versus Great West versus Prairie. Each one of these, again, can expand and then show you a list of the individual properties now that live underneath newspaper and BC papers in this instance. Or if we came down here for Prairie Newspaper Group, you can see Carlisle Observer, Estevan Mercury. So all of the different properties are accessible directly from this master user account. So let's say I wanted to build an ad for an advertiser within the Coast Reporter. What I do is click login here. And now you'll see at the top, I could instantly return to my master user account simply by clicking back on the master link. It'll take me up a level back to my master user group. And if I wanted to drill down again, I could come back here and log back in. Now, once you're inside each publisher admin account, you'll notice individual branding. So it's very easy to see, okay, now I'm in Coast Reporter. It's branded for Coast Reporter. You can see I'm here at coastreporter.net. And basically, this is where you are going to come to build all of your ads. The showcase and retain steps you can ignore. As designers, you're going to be coming directly to the step to produce step every single time. Now, as a protocol inside Impact Engine, what you're going to do is make sure you are creating ads for each advertiser within their own unique account. So underneath Coast Reporter, there's going to be N number of advertiser accounts, and you can continue to add new ones. And the idea is you have a unique account for every advertiser. And that way you can build ads in there and campaigns. You can upload media assets, and those are all contained within the same advertiser account. So I could access old ads that I've done, old media assets that I've uploaded, but those assets never get commingled with other advertisers. So it keeps everything nice and neat and consolidated on an advertiser over advertiser basis. So when you are assigned with creating an ad, the first thing you do is log into the advert or the publisher account and then do a look or search for that advertiser name. If they already have an account, great. We're going to go ahead and click login and create an ad for them. If they do not have an account already, we're going to click on the Add New Advertiser button. And basically what you're going to do here is simply fill out a little profile for this advertiser. So you'd put in the company name, sample advertiser, again, whatever the company name is. You can put a first and last name, and you could put your own name. This is just contact information if you have it. If not, you can put your own name. You could put John Doe, whatever you want to put in here. And then for the email address, this is the only thing that needs to be a unique qualifier or data string within our system. Now, here, a lot of clients choose not to use email addresses. You do not have to put an email address in here. In fact, one of the most used protocols is simply to copy the company name and also use that as the email address. The only thing to remember is this has to be a contiguous line. It cannot have any spaces. So instead of sample advertiser, I do sample underscore advertiser and again, this could be whatever name you want for Coast, again, or cost in that instance. But again, you can put anything you want in here. It just has to be unique, and it can't have any spaces. It does not have to be an email address format. So as a password, you can put anything you want. It just has to be 5 digits. Not something you're even going to have to remember. You can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or anything you like. Just needs to be 5 digits or more. Confirm your password, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'll change this to Coast. And then click Add Account. And you'll see at the top, success, new account was created. And when we come back over here to step 2 produce, You can see I have my new advertiser here at the top with sample advertiser, sample underscore advertiser underscore coast. And that's how you create a new advertiser account. Once that's created, or again, if there's already an advertiser account, you can log back into that if you're using that for a particular ad. But the next step is to click login to the right. Now you'll see at the top, I could return to my master account. I could click up a level and go back to the publisher admin account if I wanted to. But at this point, I've drilled down into my sample advertiser account. You'll see home, flash ads, HTML ads, and campaigns. Now, in between flash ads are basically our legacy gallery of ad units. It's not very often that you're going to be using those. 99% of the time, you're going to be using our new HTML multi-screen ads. So when I click on here, I can see all the different ad templates that are available. So we have interstitial ads, pencil expander ad units, what we call sliding billboards, size adjustable expanders. So these are units that you can create to be any standard height and width, like a 728 by 90 versus a 300 by 250. And you can click on any of these to see an example. So here's our size adjustable expander. If you click on the thumbnail, it'll pop open so you can see kind of what this unit does. And these size adjustable expanders, all these ads are size adjustable. So I could basically say start out as a 300 by 250 and then turn into, in this case, something like a 300 by 600. You could make this into 1,000 by 1,000 pixels if you want. There's really no limit. You just dictate starting size and finish size. In that way, this same ad unit could be turned into a 728 by 90 to expand down, or a 160 by 600 to expand left or right. All of that's adjustable within these templates. So moving down the line, we've got our bottom expander or anchor positions. These are ads that anchor to the bottom of the screen. And again, to preview any of these, you just click on the thumbnail and you can see the basic format and an example of what this ad looks like. So again, these are all rectangular boxes. This ad happens to be on a transparent PNG, so you can upload transparencies so you can see through the ads. Obviously not something you have to do. You could make just a straight square or rectangle image as well. But all of the ads can accommodate JPEGs, PNGs, or GIFs for the image files. And then also noting, anytime you click on an ad, over to the right, you're going to see a design guide. And basically, these design guides are unique for each ad unit. So if it's not a unit you've built before, take a minute. These are usually 5 to 10 minutes long, and they'll walk you through all the different nuances and individual steps within an ad that'll tell you what the flexibility and constraints are for any particular template. Moving down, we've got our sticky note templates. And again, you can click on and preview any of these just by clicking on, and it'll show you an example of what the ad does and what it looks like. And then corner peels, wallpaper ad units, flexible templates, just like the size adjustable expander. You have two different versions of the flex template. One is if you're simply inserting an image or SWF file, you'll click on this ad. You can turn it into any size you want within the ad builder, and then you upload your individual image or SWF file. Conversely, if you wanted to use something that's going to act more like an animated GIF with lots of different images in here, again, this container you can set to be any size you want, 300 by 250, and then upload up to 7 different images that are automatically going to rotate through. You can assign different URLs to each image if you want for click-throughs. And again, if you haven't built any of these before, just click on the design guide to watch. And that's kind of the overview of the different units that are available. So let's say we wanted to build one, a pencil expander in this case. I'm simply going to click on the unit. Again, I'd watch the design guide if I haven't done this before, but I'm about to walk you through everything that is in this particular design guide. So the next step is to click on Add to Campaign and Edit. I click on Add to Campaign and Edit. First step is simply creating a campaign name. So I'm going to call this, for instance, Test. You can name this anything you like, just has to be something that's going to help you reference this again when you come back into this account in the future. And underneath that campaign, I'm going to create my first ad placement. In this case, I'm going to call it Pencil. I'm going to click Next and Save. And that's going to grab the ad and pop it into my Campaigns tab. So you'll see here under my Campaigns tab, now I have my first campaign called Test. I click to expand that. I see my first ad placement called Pencil. And then I can click to expand that, and I'll see my ad underneath here. I can click on this name, I can rename it. This is just, again, for reference purposes. Let's say this was for a spring sale or something like that. Again, this is not changing anything other than the name, and I can always click on the name to preview what my ad looks like. Now, right now, it's going to look like exactly what we copied from the gallery. Here is also where I come to edit the ad. This is obviously where you're going to be spending a lot of your time. So under campaigns, campaign and placement, I expand that to access the ad editor. So when I click on edit, this takes me into my HTML ad builder. As you'll see here, it breaks the ad into its different component elements, starting with media. So any images, SWF files, videos, etc. are going to be uploaded here. Step 2 is for your colors. Step 3 is for click-through URLs. All of our ads can contain one or more click-through URLs and customizable hit areas. We'll show you how that works in a minute. And then finally, your custom settings down here in step 4. So let's start, for instance, on this pencil ad. We'll do a quick preview. From a conceptual standpoint, this is a pretty simple ad. It's basically a collapsed container and an expanded container. And for all of our ad units, as designers, you're going to be building the imagery or SWF files that go into each of these containers. So if we just wanted to use an image, we'd build one for the expanded container, a second image for the collapsed container, and you're basically done. To swap out the content, you'll see here we start with collapsed container media. It can be any size you like. That's because you can adjust and dictate to these ads how big they are. How big do I want the collapsed container? How big do I want the expanded container to be? You adjust all that here in step 4 settings. You can see the very first settings are for collapsed width and height. It happens to be 950 by 30. And if I scroll down, I have expanded width and expanded height is 950 by 300. But again, I can just adjust that to be anything I like. So when I start here in my media, if I wanted to swap out the imagery in these containers, I simply click on change. This takes me to our media gallery. Now, because this is a brand new advertiser account, we've never built an ad in here before, it's blank. There's not going to be anything in here until you start to upload. So to upload your media, you simply click on upload, click on add files, go ahead and search your machine for whatever image you want. So I'm going to select, in this case, this big RAV4 Toyota truck. Once you've added it, you click start upload. That's going to upload the ad, and then you'll click finished. It's going to say okay. And now a media folder will appear here with your first image. If you click on it, you've got a nice preview screen here. It'll list out the exact dimensions of this image. This is 900 by 499 in this case. And I'm going to go ahead and select that for both the collapsed container. I'd usually obviously put a small narrow image in for that. But for the sake of this demo, I'm going to select the same image for both. And anytime you click save and then preview, you're going to see the most recent version of your ad here. So now I've got my new image in here. And you can see that the container that this image lives in is not the right size. That's because I uploaded an image that was a different size than my container. To adjust that, as we mentioned, I can come down here to my settings. And I'm going to say instead of 950 pixels wide, I'm going to make it 900 pixels wide, and I'll keep it 30 pixels tall for the collapsed container. And I'm going to change the expanded container to 900 by, in this case, 499 instead of 300. So again, I click save and preview. And now I've got my image and container that is sized appropriately for the image I have in here. Now you'll also notice that the open and close buttons are now getting cut off. That's because these are adjustable in terms of where they live on the page. The next step is to either use our default open and close buttons, which a lot of clients choose to do, or you can always upload your own imagery. They don't have to be 100 by 30 pixels. They are in this case. You could upload 50 by 50 pixel images. You can put anything you want as open and close buttons. And then down here in your custom settings, basically you can adjust where those open and close buttons are going to live. Right now, I could either do kind of what I call the designer lazy setting and use the default location, which automatically adjusts those into the upper right-hand corner of the template. So if I say yes and save, that's going to take my images for open and close and just pop them right here in the upper right-hand corner. But if I want to get a little bit more specific with where those images live, I'm going to turn off the default setting and then scroll down, and I have my open button horizontal offset, basically how many pixels to the right, starting at the left-hand edge of the template, do I want the open button to be? And then how many vertical, what's your vertical offset? How many pixels down from the top? So if we wanted to throw the buttons all the way to the left-hand side, I could say 0 pixels to the right for the open button, 0 pixels down from the top for the open button. And then same thing for the close button. The horizontal offset, I could make that 0. And let's say I wanted to drop that down to the bottom and make it more like 470 pixels down from the top. Again, I'll save my ad, click on preview, and now I've got my open button here on the left and close button on the left bottom. So you can adjust those to be anywhere you like on the ad. And again, you can upload your own images as well. So that's, if you're using images, that's basically the entire setup of the ad. You upload your 2 images and you're pretty much done. Now, in the case that you're going to upload an SWF file, if you want additional animation running in either the collapsed or expanded containers, that's fine. You can upload SWF files as well. But the thing to remember is those SWF files are not going to be compatible and not going to be able to run on certain tablet and mobile devices like iPads and iPhones. So our ads are intelligent. All of these HTML ads will automatically detect whether or not they're running on a Flash compatible device. So if it's running on a desktop machine and you put an SWF file like an animated bouncing ball in here, the ad's going to expand out and play that bouncing ball animation. However, if it's running on an iPad, for instance, that is not Flash compatible, what you do is you scroll down and you can upload backup failover images for either the collapsed and or expanded containers if you're using SWF files. That way you still get the functionality of the ad opening and closing, but instead of just showing a broken file link, it's going to play and insert a backup image inside that expanded container instead of the bouncing ball. So you kind of get the best of all worlds that's possible. You're going to have animation, additional animation on the desktop. You still get the opening and closing animation of the ad unit itself with a backup image inside that container. So if you're using images, you don't have to worry about backups. If you're using SWF files here, you simply upload backup images and it will basically work in all cases, no matter what device you're viewing on. And then finally, all of these ads can contain video if you like. You simply upload the video as an MP4 file, and all of the ads contain both HTML5 video players as well as Flash video players, and that same file will run identically, and the video is going to run just fine on any device. So that's your media gallery or your media options for this template. Step 2 is for your colors. You can adjust a background color if you want, really not typically necessary, as well as a custom hit area test mode color. We'll show you what that's for in just a moment. Click-through URLs, as I mentioned, you might just have one, or if you want to create different hotspots on your ad to click through to different areas of a user's website, for instance, you can have a second, third, or fourth click-through hit area set up. And all of that's adjusted down here in step 4 settings. So to quickly zip through, you've got your collapsed width and collapsed height, expanded width and expanded height. You can set these ads to automatically expand on initial render. What that means, if you set that to yes, every time the user comes to the page, the ad's automatically going to open up. If you set this to yes, what it's going to do is it's also going to drop a cookie onto every visitor's browser, so that the next option allows you to limit the auto expand to once every X hours per visitor, in this case 6 hours. So the way this is configured right now, if I came to the home page, it would automatically expand. If I revisited that home page anytime again within the next 6 hours, in this case, the ad would stay collapsed. It would start out collapsed. I'd have to manually click on it to open it. If I waited till after 6 hours, let's say I came back again tonight, the ad would auto expand a second time, drop a fresh cookie, wait 6 more hours again. Now, these settings are automatically going to be dictated to you. Glacier has an entire set of guides for each unit, for instance, the pencil. So they're going to be telling you what they want these settings all the way down the line set to, whether it's yes, 6 hours, 8 hours. You'll have this so you can quickly adjust these to be whatever Glacier wants them to be. Next up, do you want a delay on the auto expand? If so, how many seconds? Would you like it to automatically collapse after a certain amount of time? If yes, how many seconds? You can set the ads to auto expand when you mouse over them or auto collapse when you mouse off of them. You can adjust how fast they take to expand, how fast they take to collapse. And again, all of this is going to be dictated to you by the Glacier team. We went over use default location for the open and close buttons, yes or no. If you're uploading your own open and close button images and they're something other than 100 by 30 pixels, no problem. Let's say they're 50 by 50 pixels. Again, you just upload your images here. If they happen to be 50 by 50, just adjust the settings here to match whatever height and width your open and close buttons are, and that will ensure that the hit areas align with the actual images themselves. We went over open button horizontal and vertical offset, close button horizontal and vertical offset. Next up, if you ever want to include a video, very simple to do. You simply say yes, include the video player. You can dictate how big the video player is. Right now it's 300 by 200 pixels. You can make it any size you like. And then you can give that video player a custom offset, just like the open and close buttons. Let's say I wanted this to be 200 pixels to the right and 100 pixels down from the top. And then you can have the video automatically start if you want, and as well as the audio. You can have that automatically start. So if I wanted to preview what this looks like, now I've got my ad. When I open it up, I've got a video player that's going to automatically run, overlaying on top of the ad. If I said that looks great, but I want it to be a lot bigger, simple. We just come up here and adjust the height and width. Let's make it 500 by 300. Hit save and preview. And now we've got a much larger video player that just lives on top of the expanded container image. So I'll go ahead and turn that off and show you the final settings here, which are for your custom hit areas. So this is what, for hit areas, you're almost always going to have at least one click-through basically for an ad. So you're always going to have activate custom hit area 1. You're going to set that to yes. And typically you're going to make that hit area the exact height and width of your expanded container. In this instance, it's 900 by 499. And because I'm making it the exact height and width of the expanded container, I don't need to change the offset. I'm going to leave the horizontal and vertical at 0, 0. That way my hit area aligns perfectly with my ad. Now, if I wanted to add a second, third, fourth hit area and basically say, click here for special offer, if you had something like that built into the graphic that you wanted to go to a different URL than the main click-through, you'd simply activate your second hit area. Let's make it, in this case, 200 by 200 pixels. And let's throw it over to the right-hand side of the ad. Let's make it 500 pixels to the right and say 75 pixels down from the top. Now I can do the same thing, activate a third custom hit area, activate a fourth custom hit area. And if you scroll down to the very bottom of these settings, you'll see activate testing mode for all hit areas. And this is important for you as designers in that you can now preview the ad and see exactly where your hit areas live. So now I can see my hit area 1 is the entire background, and your hit area 2 lives on top of that. The hit areas are all stacked so that hit area 1 is at the bottom, hit area 2 is on top of that, hit area 3 and 4 on top of those. So I can just eyeball quickly as a designer, okay, there's my hit area 2, but let's say your special click here button was farther to the right. To adjust it, you just come back here and say, for instance, I wanted to move it 600 pixels to the right and 150 pixels down from the top. You can instantly see the new location now of my hit area. So it's very easy to adjust. So that's how you build an ad. They're all very similar. Some of them have a few different settings here and there depending on the format, but basically you'll get the hang of it once you've built one. Now you'll notice that all of these ads come with their own URL. Anytime I preview it, I can simply copy and paste that URL if I wanted to send it or wanted the Glacier team to be able to send that off for viewing and sign off by the advertiser. They can simply send that URL link in an email, and when the user views it, they're going to see exactly what has been created. This allows for instant and simple updating and editing. For instance, an advertiser might look at this and say, it looks great. What are those red boxes there for? And as the designer or design team, you could come back in here and instantly make a change. In this case, I'm going to turn off testing mode. But basically, if you uploaded new images, change the settings, as soon as you hit save and they refresh that link, they're always going to see the most recent version of the ad unit itself. So it can really cut down on time for seeing changes, previewing them, and giving the advertiser what they want at the end of the day. Once the ad is built and ready to go, I come back to the campaigns tab. I expand my campaign and I click on the button that says get ad code. So in this case, I'm going to click on get ad code. The first thing I'm going to do is select my ad server. So for Glacier specifically, most of the ad units, as long as they're expanding units and rich media units, they're using Dart for Publisher. I simply click on DFP, hit submit, and this gives me the ad code that is literally ready to copy and paste directly into the ad server. For other Glacier ads, they're going to be using the TC Media DFP, but again, that's going to be dictated to you. And the Affinity team may or may not be generating ad code. Glacier may be doing this first, but it's a very simple process no matter who's doing it. You simply select the appropriate ad server, click submit, and this is ready to copy and paste directly into the ad server. Now, the other thing to note for changes, edits, updates, even after this ad code has been pushed live, Impact Engine actually independently is going to report back on how many impressions, click-throughs, click-through rate, etc. this ad has received. So in real time, anyone can log into the Impact Engine interface and see how the ad's performing. That's aside from waiting for a report from DFP in this case. What this also allows you to do is even after the ad has been trafficked live edits can be made simply by clicking on edit. You make the change, update the image, change the settings, hit save, and those changes are automatically going to go live on the inside the live ad unit without having to come back in, re-click on get a ad code, regenerate the code, redeploy it. It makes it a much faster process. Usually within 15 to 30 minutes, all of those changes will be live on all sites that the ad's being viewed on. The other last thing you can do here is once the ad is live or even beforehand, you can do what's called creating a variant. So if the ad's live and you wanted to create a new version for A/B testing, things like that, you click on create variant. This gives you an exact duplicate of your ad. I could come in here, make some changes. Let's say I wanted to upload some new copy that said 10% off. And again, this name is just for reference, but I would upload the new imagery, etc. And now I have a new version of the ad that I could run in rotation simply by clicking the checkbox. And this ad would now rotate every time it was requested between these two versions. And I can turn on and off the different versions that are running at any given time. This feature could also be used throughout the creative process when the ad's being built before it's signed off on. If instead of, you build version 1 and send that link to the client, if you wanted to save old versions and not just continually update over the original, I could create the second, third, fourth version of the ad, and each time I'd be sending a new URL. Each one of these has its own, unique URL. That way, if the client came back, after the third round of changes and said, actually, I like the first one the best, you'd have saved copies of those that you could instantly grab and run with. So that works for a variety of options. The ability to continue to add new variants can be helpful in both of those cases. And so if it turned out they wanted the first one, again, when you click add code, you just make sure only the first one is checked and only the first one would be called when that ad is asked for. So that's kind of the A to Z on Impact Engine and how to use the ads. Again, all of these have unique design guides. You'll notice that a number of the ad units have multiple versions. These are all using the same exact templates. So I can turn on video for here. These are kind of more for marketing purposes to let you know that there's video units available. The only difference between these two is that video happens to be that setting is turn video on, yes, and this one starts out as no. I could turn video on here or turn it off there if I wanted to. But remember, as always, we're available here for any questions, for training, etc. For any designers, you can always reach us at 866-467-2289, and feel free to use that number anytime you like. So thanks for watching, and we look forward to working with you.